So welcome to our first Thinkers Group. And so for those of you who don't know what Thinkers Group is, I'm going to give you a kind of an intro to our Thinkers Group and why I created the class. And then for those of you who know, maybe this will be information you kind of knew but really didn't have clarification. So here we go. So Thinkers Group is meant for ages 8 and up, and it's meant for independent children who can work on their own, not just doing scissors, but any kind of like cutting utensils or other things, other utensils that might not be suitable for youngers. And the main thing is that not only will they be creating art, they will be creating from their own ideas art projects that can be brought into real life. So that's the point of it. It's for independent thinkers and artists who can function together in a group, because when we can meet together, that's part of it too. Building a cohesive group that can actually help each other think about ideas and how they want to build or create something. So as a group, we will do these things. But for now, because of our situation, I am putting together a 4-week art intensive. And so this one, if you look online, it says rep sessions. So the rep sessions stand for relief, etching, and printing. So that's what we're exploring. And I want you to know, parents and children alike, this is all experimental, and it's meant to be a deep dive into things that maybe you've been wondering about or want to know more about. So this is our deep dive. We're going to take a deep dive into relief, etching, and printing. So today we're going to start with Styrofoam printing. So here's the deep dive for this. Let me tell you what you're going to need. You will need a flat Styrofoam surface. And so if you go out to eat, or anybody you know goes out to eat, have them save for you the tops and the bottoms of the Styrofoam. You're going to need that. Blunted pencils. You don't want the sharp, and telling me to not have a sharp pencil is very difficult because I love sharp pencils. But you want one that's a little duller, been used, that kind of thing. Magazines or something to put your Styrofoam piece on, because later that will help us. I'm actually just using a thing of tracing paper because it has some depth and some cushiness to it. But if you get a magazine, same thing will do, or anything that you can draw on top of that has a little cushion. That's what we need. Tracing paper. Whatever kind of copy paper you're going to use to make your prints on. This is not exactly, what is the paper? The thicker paper. Can't think of the right word for it. But it's not copy paper. It's a little thicker than that. You can use copy paper too. It will work. So, paint. Just, regular old acrylic paint. Brush or a roller. Now I'm going to use a brush, and I'll show you how to do that. But the other thing you can use, if parents are willing, here's the thing you can do. You can use an old roller, baking pen roller. I would cover it with tape first, just the big thick like postal tape. Cover it, because basically that's going to spread your paint on. I'm going to use this because it works just fine. I'm going to go ahead and use just paintbrushes. But that is another alternative, because what you normally would do is you would have a roller that rolls the paint evenly over. I kind of also like the texture of a paintbrush as part of my print. Tape you're going to need, and some scissors. So let me tell you the days that we're going to do this. Obviously today's the 7th. And then the 14th and the 21st and also the 28th. So expect one to drop every Thursday in this month of October. All right? So here we go. I have broken this up into 3 stages. We have over here our first stage, which is the idea drawing stage. I will show you one of mine. This is one of the best ones that I did. And let me just tell you, I'm going to keep saying this. You're probably going to have to experiment a bunch. So this is not like a quick one and done kind of thing, because you're going to have to play around with what kind of images are going to work for you, what kind of images are going to make things print off nicely, because not all of them are going to work. I will tell you, I had to do one of my ideas like 3 times just to experiment with it. So that's the first one, idea and drawing. And then we have tracing onto the styrofoam. So where you actually create your template. And then you have the actual painting of the template and then the printing portion of it. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you my ideas that I actually use to make my templates. So I showed you my cow. It was the most successful one. And you're going to want to draw onto tracing paper first, because this also becomes a sort of template that you use. I did the bee's knees like 3 times. I don't know what I did with my spilling tea one. Here's the other thing about the tracing paper. Sometimes it gets torn up in the process and you just got to throw it away. And that's what happened to my spilling tea one. It did not make it through the process. And that's okay. Sometimes it's just too much going at once. So that's a thing you need to think about. How big you want to make your image, and if you want to add letters or numbers, and you have to pay attention to those kinds of things. These 2 actually made it through the process without being torn up. You probably cannot see it, but there's ridges where I have drawn into it. All right, so that's my print, or my idea. And next, so we get our styrofoam. And I just go ahead and make it into a square. Now, I'm going to also show you that you don't have to use this big of a one. Like the dessert ones that you get, you can also use that. And I'll show you that in a minute. And I'm just cutting it so it's easier to turn into a square. And again, this part doesn't have to be perfect. You're just cutting it away so you can actually use the flattest portion of it. All right. There you go. So now I have a surface. But let me go ahead and show you these. This was my first, the bee's knees. I was doing just a little idiom, or it's like an idiom is a phrase that means a particular thing that has no meaning otherwise. Like the bee's knees means it's really great, whatever you're doing. And probably some of you know the idiom better than sliced bread. It means it's just really good. So that's what I was doing. Well, that one didn't work so well. This one was my next attempt at the bee's knees. It worked a little better, but the one I'm going to do for you today, I have not tried it. It's going to be a 3rd incarnation of this. So we will see that in just a bit. Okay, so I'm just showing you all the pieces because I want you to prepare yourself to do a little work. This is the other one, spilling tea. And again, the mood one. All right, so now what I'm going to show you, I'm going to start with spilling tea because it was my first one. Now, and I know this is a lot of talking up front because I want you to understand kind of how the process is. You need to listen through first, and you may even need to go back and listen again, so you understand a little bit of how the process is supposed to go. Okay? So, spill and tea. These were my spill and tea. This is my first one. So you can see that it kind of got a little splotchy, and some of the lines did not turn out. So from there I went on down and did orange, and then I figured out that I didn't like the space that was in this one. So I went back to my template and added a little spill up here because I thought that one might help it. The image actually turned out a little bit better, except for, like you could see up here, the paint got a little squished into my lines. So again, I'm going to show you some things to help you get rid of some of these things, but it's not going to be perfect. So just get ready for lots of mistakes, okay? First, second, and then that was really a wipeout. So don't feel bad. Again, remember, this is fun. It's meant to be experimental. I like this color, and I like how my cup turned out in this one. That was the last one I did, and I needed to do a little cleaning out up here, and we'll get to that and show you how to do some of that. But you could just see, process is not perfect, and it won't be, but you can get a feel for how it works. All right, let me show you the bee's knees. Okay, I started my small one, and this was why I changed. I mean, you could just, this image, you could see the image really well, which I liked, but you can't really read it. And then you could see my second and third tries. Again, I'm going to show you some clean out techniques that will help. So that is why I created my next one. I started here, and this is this guy. So you can tell that, like, there are big swaths of like paint that just didn't take. The other thing is, when you're working with this acrylic paint, you got to go pretty quickly. And if you're using a brush like I'm going to show you, you really have to go quickly because the paint will start to dry. This is another one. This is a little better, but again, a little sloppy, and that's okay. So that's that one. And then I branched out because I got tired of trying to do the bee's knees. I had to take a break from that one and just think about doing something that was maybe a little bigger, the image itself, and then cut down on my words. Because words are not going to be easy. I'm going to warn you about that. If you really, really want to do words, think about making it 1 or 2 words. Not that I had a ton of words in there, but you saw how squishy and splotchy it was. So I started with, well, let's do something that I see almost every day. A cute cow with moo. And so it's the one that turned out the best for me. You can see my cow, you can see moo, and it kept all the cuteness, in my opinion. So that was my best one. So I would encourage you to try bigger and less words or numbers. I won't say stay away from it, because I think that's part of the fun, seeing it print out. But try less. All right? So let me show you this part of the process. So we're going to use my last bee's knees, see what it comes out like, and show you how I did it. Go ahead and have yourself a cloth on hand and some water, because you're going to need to clean whatever it is you choose to use. All right? And you'll probably want to do this in the kitchen or somewhere near a sink. I would say stay close to a sink. You can see I have newspaper down, because when we get ready to do this, you can see it's not going to be very clean. Once again, messy, but if you've been following my Creative Kids, you know I like a little mess. I'm good with the mess. But definitely go ahead and lay yourself down some things. So, I'm going to choose, what did we do? We did it in green last time. I'm going to choose a little blue. So, let me show you. I'm going to plop this on. And I don't think it matters dry brush or not. I'm going up, and I can tell you already, you can see that I've already put some blue inside the lines. I'm going to show you how to get that out and how to deal with that. So, but I'm going to go quickly and just keep going, because we have to go back over it a little bit, and we'll see. And you can go side to side. I am actually going to put a little more on my side because I think it's going to not be enough. And I'm just going to take a quick swath across and go back up. Okay. All right. There is that. Now, I'm going to take my dull pencil and go through it, especially where I think it has a lot of paint, and quickly go through, clean it out if I can. It may not clean out like I want to in time, and that'll be okay. We'll have to deal with that. And let me see. Just clean it out. And once you do this, you will understand what it is I'm doing and where I'm cleaning it from and all that good stuff. It will make more sense once you yourself try your hand at it. All right. And you gotta go kind of fast because you don't want it to dry on here. Okay. I think we're going to have some problems up around the eye area because I can't get all the paint out of the eyes, but we'll see. And the nose, the little nose area might be a little problematic, but let's see. I want him to look a little happy. All right. That's going to work for me right now. All right, I am going to quickly put this on. The other thing I learned when doing this, have something to roll it with. This is where your rolling pin is going to come in handy. Clearly, you don't need a rolling pin. I have a bottle that does not give, and you're going to roll it over. I think sometimes this is when you have a lot of paint. This is where your squishes come from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it out a little bit just to see how it's going. Because this I learned from doing it. So at the bottom I'm having a little problem. So I'm going to clean it out a little bit and lay it back down and see if I can pick up more of the image. If I can't, it'll be fine. I won't try it again. Or maybe you want to. I mean, this is just me showing you in the example of how to, so I don't want to take up all my time doing this. I just want to show you the magic so you can get inspired to do your own. Okay, so I've cleaned out some of my letters. Let's see if that helps it. I'll roll back over. It didn't help it so much, so I'm going to go back up and see. That doesn't look terrible. So I'm going to roll one more time, and then I'm going to pull it up and let you see what it turns out like. Okay, so the bee's knees is still problematic. So it's okay though. I may never get this particular image to work. Let me show you one other. So when it doesn't turn out right, don't feel bad, okay? Just try something new. I'm gonna put that aside, and what I do, I will tell you, you can see I didn't throw them away. I'm gonna wash this and just reuse it. You can wash and reuse. I'm gonna do a blue cow and see how that comes out for us. Okay, I'm not gonna reuse that. So here's what we're gonna do. Yeah, this is a better one, I think, because my lines are crisper. And I think, again, less words and deeper grooves. That's another thing. Think about how deep and groovy you make your letters, because that will matter. I'm gonna do a little bit more. And this, again, this is an experiment. I don't know how this is gonna go. We're going to accept it how it is. And I'm going to clean out a little bit. And again, this one is much easier to do that with. Much easier. Alright. Got my little cow going here. Another reason to have something on the table so you could just wipe it off right on whatever surface you are. Okay. All right. And I need to get my eyes in there. Okay. All right. Keep your momentum. Don't go sloppy fast. Just go quickly. Okay? All right. Let's do this one. See what happens. Press on. Rub a little bit. Rub. Rub. Okay. Now I'm going to take a peek. Yeah, this one's much better. Much better. Yep. Okay. So there we go. That's a much better image. You get to see it. It's broken, but you still get to see the overall image. And again, like you could see my brush strokes in there, I kind of like that. So if you want a cleaner, smoother one, go ahead with the rolling pin. Or I even thought about trying to use a paint roller, but just putting tape around that too and seeing if that would work for you. So again, all experimental. All right, so now I showed you like the groovy parts of what you're going for. What I'm now going to show you is the tracing paper part, because you need to know kind of what that's like too. The etching part of this. This is also part of this. Okay, so you see my little cow here. It's just an image I came up with. Let me show you. I should do a different one. Let me show you a different one. And have my cushion. Just go ahead and lay it down. We don't need it just yet. So I'm just going to do kind of a happy face. Something very simple. And you can make all the mistakes you want on this paper, because it's not until you actually use it to press into the styrofoam that it becomes a fixed image. So let's do that. And I'm going to say, I'm going to put hey down here. Because smile is more letters than I want to deal with, and more chances for paint to block it up. So, and I don't want to discourage you from doing that. You can. I just need to go a little quicker in order to get you guys the process. All right. So here's my image. Just a simple smiley face that says hey. So from here, what we're going to do, we're going to cut. Now, let's see how big our surface is. That's what I need to know too. This is how much of a surface we have. Ooh. So that's the other thing. Be careful of overblowing your surface. So one of the things I did when I did this, I did overblow my surface several times. So how I dealt with that was I took a picture, put it on my computer, and shrank it. Now, if you can't do that, just redraw it smaller. But you have that, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Okay. And so there, that's what we're starting with. What you want to do is go ahead and tape it down. And you can see that I have kind of like, I keep all my trash lines on there right now. I will show you. You'll just choose once you start. You can erase if you want to, but I don't really care about that. I'm going to choose a line when I'm starting to do it. Oh, whoa, nope, I'm doing the wrong thing. So don't do this. So, you don't want to tape it face side up. What you want is to tape it down, face side down. So you're creating basically an opposite image. I'm glad I did that so you can catch yourself. Don't do that. The first time I did do that. So you're going to tape it this way. And that creates our right way round image on the paper. All right, so now we're going to tape. All right. And as you get guys who show up are noticing, it is going to be a little lengthier process. So that's why I say think about the children who would like this and who would get into this. And it's not for younger kids, probably, this process. So there we have it. It's the backwards way. All right, so now wipe off my pencil so I don't put paint on there. This is what I have, Styrofoam, and remember your magazine or whatever is your cushion. This helps you to get deeper grooves without actually puncturing through. Now, don't worry if you do puncture all the way through. Don't worry about that. I did that on several of these. You can see where I went all the way through. That you can control for that when you put on your paint. All right, so here we go. My first thing is to just get the image on here. And you cannot see it, but you can probably hear it. It is ripping the paper and going into the Styrofoam, which we want. This also is what makes the Styrofoam or the the template itself pretty much trash mostly. It's very good if you can keep the image on the piece of tracing paper. I haven't been able to keep most of them. They've been so badly torn. So you just get it in there, or get it onto the styrofoam. A slight image of how you want it to go. And this doesn't have to be as fast as I'm going. You can take your time so that you create more straight lines, because you do want the straight lines. Just take your time. Okay. And this is the etching part, or the first etching part of this. So, all right. So, now I've got the basic image on here. And I will show you that first bit. And you can see my paper is tearing. It's okay, that's part of it. It's not meant to be kept, not really. If you can, awesome, but it's done its job. All right. And so there's what we have. That's our first go. Now for me, I want deeper grooves. And here's why you want deeper grooves. So that when you lay that paint on top, the line will be much more clear. The delineation from where the paint will go and stay and where it won't. So to me, I don't know that I would get a great image from this because my grooves are not that deep. So then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to go again. I mean, make sure to get all your tape off because that will mess with your paint. Get all that tape off of there. You don't want that blocking because basically it just blocks the paint. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back around my image on my soft cushiness, which makes it so much easier. When I first did this, I was just doing it basically on a flat surface, and let me just tell you, that was not happiness. It was not good, and it didn't. I think some of that is why my first bee's knees did not turn out so good, obviously. But the other reason is just it has so much going on, and I didn't do it big enough. I still think that's my problem. That image has so much going on in it. It needs to be bigger. I think that's my best guess, and I will retry that to see if that's true or not. I'm going to keep trying that one until I get it. Okay, so I'm going to show you grooves that I think are going to make a better image. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay. And if you forget something, the good thing about this is you can pick it back up when you go and do it a second or third time. I mean, honestly, you might want to do this re-etching a couple of times if you can't get it deep enough the first time or the second time. But every time, again, just remember, you don't want to punch holes. Not really. And I did. But for the most part, this is probably the best one. So here are the kind of grooves you want to see. And we're going to test this puppy out. And we're going to see just how good are our grooves. So you want it groovy, but you don't want it so groovy. All right. So let's go. I'm going to put this over here. And what color? I'm not going to do yellow because everybody thinks of happy faces as yellow. So I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do purple. Let's see what purple looks like for us. And I'm just popping it on there. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not plopping it on there in a groove. So just be mindful of that. Now, there's the other thing. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to also tell you some of the things I played with. Sometimes I didn't just do one color. I plopped 2, 3 colors on like one of those sipping teas. That's actually 2 or 3 colors together. And it just, I think it gave it texture and, I don't know, added depth. I liked it. It was fun. So I am going to clean because some of my grooves didn't do what I wanted it to. I love it when it stays clean though, because you know that's going to come out really good. The other thing is, when you notice pools, try to pull it away from your lines, the pools of paint. That way you can save the idea of the line, preserve the line that's going to go on your page. And I will tell you, like, your first printings are probably always going to be your best, especially if you don't go back and clean out your template. There's something about where it doesn't go to first, and the crispness of the lines, and that's probably true with real etching and real printmaking. It's probably your first ones that are the best. And I almost put my finger in that. I don't want to do that because I don't want to make it a mess. We're going to play with this one and see what we get. All right. Down it goes. Lay your fingers on it, your hand on it, and I'm going to roll it. And all the rolling is doing is just helping you to get the paint on there. I would roll it either way. I'm afraid of what I just did. But let's see. Hey, that's not terrible. Hey, that's a good one. Okay. I think this is going to be okay. It's probably going to have some flaws. Well, it is going to have some flaws, but not too terrible. Hey, that's not terrible. That's a good print. So, good grooves, bigger images so that the lines are far apart from each other. That's probably part of it too. And I love the paint look, the paintbrush look. I love that. But you guys, do have fun. Try this with paintbrushes. Try it with the rolling pin or a rolling something. It will also be a very, very cool thing to try. And I just hope, if you're watching this video, what you take away from this is, it is a process. It can be long. You can do this over a couple of days. I hope you will. I hope you will take your time. I did not create all these in a day. This took me, I probably did this over 2 or 3 days. Now, that's with me only having about an hour and a half to dedicate to it. So if we were in class, we would have 2 hours and we would do this whole process together. But we're not. But you can do this at home, and I hope that you do have fun. The thing I want you to remember about this is that these classes are meant to be experimental. The results, they are not guaranteed, as you saw. And so I just want you to remember that each of you has a say in how this turns out. You take this information that I've given you and you make something good happen with it. And who gets to determine what's good? That would be you. You know the results you're going for, and once you do the process, you will have better ability to reason about what is a good result to actually expect from this. So again, have fun with this process. and I look forward to seeing some of your work. Please, if you actually do this process, email me at yolanda@scottpublib.org and email me some of your images. I would love, love, love to see them. Now, I know some of you are still coming into the library. Bring them in and show me. I might be at the children's desk. That would be awesome. So guys, put your thinking caps on and get in the groove. All right.